Hello everybody, I just saw these beautiful plants in the other light and I was talking with myself, take a video for you about the propagation of the saffron bulb because they're very near the saffron plants. This is a needle shape. About the propagation, today I want to talk about the propagation, the sign of the finishing the propagation, the problem that you may be faced during propagation, disease and disorder of the during propagation. You know, Let me tell you about some of you ask me when, which date, which month is the time of the finishing of the propagation. We are not able that to say exact months or exact date. Process is important, not the date. You know, for example, this is your saffron plants during propagation. Usually in the 3 months of the winter, 3 months of the winter is the time of the propagation saffron bulbs. In the northern hemisphere, in the January, February, March, these 3 months of the propagation, and in the southern hemisphere, like here in Australia, is the time of the uh, June, July, August, the time of the propagation. 3 months of the winter, okay, for preventing confusing, 3 months of the winter in your own country, this is the time of the propagation of the saffron bulbs. When, this is, as you can see, all the saffron leaves, they are dry, they are yellow, okay? When completely converted to the yellow or the brown, that is very clear, it's the time of the finishing your propagation. That means in this stage, you should stop watering, fertilizer. Even in this stage, control temperature, no issue. It doesn't need the control temperature. The saffron bulbs stop the propagation. And when you harvest the saffron bulb, you should see the bulb. At this moment, when the all plant is the yellow, saffron bulb volume doesn't receive extra volume. In this stage, you should separate the saffron bulbs and put them in the dormancy condition and ready for the new process and the new flowering in the first month of the autumn in your country. That maybe in the time of the saffron flowering in the northern hemisphere is the October, November. Here in the Australia is the April. Now, 3 months, the signs, the successful propagation. What is the meaning of the successful propagation? In the 3 months of the wind propagation phase, 3 months, always the length of your saffron leaf should be 1 meter, and 3 months of the propagation should be completely green. 3 months should be green like this, okay, like this. This is all plant should be green, completely green, okay, completely like this, completely should be green. This is the sign of 3 months completely green, and the length of the size of the saffron leaf should be near 1 meter. This is the sign of the propagation, because saffron bulb via three-way receive the volume, increase its own weight via the mother bulbs that you receive the flowers, leaves and the roots. Saffron bulbs, saffron bulb that you receive the flower, only for the 3 or the 4 weeks you can receive the volume, okay, only for the 3 weeks, and gradually will be removed the mother bulb. And the roots, its roots only they receive the some main macro elements. Only thing that is important, leaves, roots, and the mother saffron bulb. Via three-way, saffron bulb receive its own volume or the weight. But in leaves plays maybe 80% of the increasing the saffron bulb. Saffron leaf is very important in the propagation phase. Now I want to talk about when. Therefore, when they're completely yellow, you should start the watering. If you give the water, fertilizer, you know, you give the water and the saffron bulbs is not able to receive the water. Therefore, all the saffron, even the small saffron bulbs, will be removed, will be died. In this state, stop everything. Okay? Now, When the half of the saffron leaves are green and the yellow, this is the last notice to you. This is the last notice. Okay, prepare. You should give any water that needs fertilizer. When the half is the yellow, half is the green, it means you have also have time. You are still time. You still have time, and you should give the rest of the water, rest of the fertilizer. But is it completely yellow? You don't have this. 3 months, but all the successful propagation should experience 3 months green, always green, with a 1 meter length. But we have other things. For example, this is as you can see in the tip of the, when the saffron leaves, after the 3 months, started from the tip or the top to the yellowing, after the 3 months. After the 3 months, this is completely normal because this started from the tip, then half of the converted to the yellow, and this is the sign of the normal. But even immediately after the transporting the saffron bulbs, when you face with the substrate, when you are starting, for example, in the first week, 2 weeks, or the 3 weeks, when the tip started to the yellowing, it means only the tip, it means the low of the nitrogen, or then the amount of the nitrogen is very high or is very low, or you have the problem in the giving the fertilizer, your substrate is not suitable, the analysis, you have used a very poor substrate, we have very poor fertilizer, started from the after the 2 week or 3 weeks. Therefore, I recommend you shouldn't allow to the yellowing from the tip, because in the 50% of the time we are not able that the back the saffron leaf to the yellowing. Sometimes it's possible with the very strong fertilizer, very strong condition, you are able from the tip. But if after the 2 weeks, after the 3 weeks, the whole of the plants, okay, you only after the only, for example, 7 days first week of the propagation, they didn't experience any green. After the flowering, 2 weeks after flowering, 3 weeks after flowering, instead of the yellowing of the tip, whole the saffron converted to the yellow, or half of them converted to the yellow. That means very clear. This is related to the high temperature. This is very high temperature. We have the standards temperature during the propagation. When you don't know about the temperature propagation, faced with a problem. Therefore, when the whole the saffron leaves converted to the yellow, therefore you have this is the main reason is the high temperature, warm condition, converted to the yellow. After the 2 weeks or the 3 weeks. What if after the 1 month, after the 2 months, your saffron leaves, after the 2 months, 1 month converted to the yellowing, completely yellow, that means we have faced with the cold shock or the increasing the watering. When you give the water, too much water, after the 1 month started. But high temperature is a very important during propagation. After the 1 week, after the 2 days, show it's a high temperature to yourself, to your farm. That's very important. Therefore, in the 3 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 months, you should keep the all of the green, the condition, the time process between the flowering and the propagation, cultivation, the distance between two bulbs, and the condition. Some of you things only control temperature in the flowering is important, and after the flowering, no issues. Very important. The amount of the humidity, the amount of the light is not comparable, completely different, 100% completely different from the flowering in the propagation phase. The kind of the substrate that you use should be strong. You should receive the analysis from the laboratory. You should give the fertilizer. You should give the temperature. When you provide the best condition for the saffron leaves, always is green. These saffron leaves different from the other plants. Is very vulnerable, very sensitive. From the first problem, show to yourselves to the yellowing, and the saffron bulb will be small. If you experience 3 months or even 4 months all saffron leaves to the 1 meter completely green, I will promise all your saffron bulb will be heavy. But even after the 1 month or the maximum 2 months, you could keep the yellowing, the half of the, or maybe the majority of the saffron bulbs is small, small, small. But even if the only for the 2 weeks or 3 weeks, after 3 weeks or the 4 weeks converted to the yellowing, it means that all of your saffron bulbs to the smallest, 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 small. Thank you.